The diner was unusually calm that morning. The kind of quiet where even the soft clatter of coffee cups felt too loud. Sunlight poured through the wide front windows, glinting off chrome tables and glass shakers. In the corner booth sat Walter Branson, an 81 Korean War veteran who arrived every day at precisely 80:15 a.m. He wore his worn flannel shirt, frayed at the elbows, and heavy boots that had endured more winters than most people in the room. His hands trembled slightly as he lifted his black coffee, but his eyes still held the steady resolve of a man who had faced fear head-on long ago. That peaceful routine shattered without warning. A younger man near the counter was arguing loudly with the waitress over his bill. His voice rose, sharp and aggressive, until he noticed Walter watching quietly from his booth. Something about the old man's calm stare struck a nerve. Fueled by wounded pride, the man stormed over and struck Walter across the face. The crack echoed through the diner like a gunshot. Cups rattled, conversations died instantly. Walter lifted a trembling hand to his cheek, stunned less by the pain than by the cruelty behind it. He had known violence before, but not like this. If you believe in kindness, respect for our elders, and the power of second chances, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. Your support helps these stories reach hearts that need them. The diner fell into a heavy, helpless silence. The waitress pleaded for the man to leave while customers stared at their plates, too frightened to intervene. Walter didn't fight back. He simply sat there, his weathered hand covering the bruise, staring into coffee he could no longer taste. He wasn't afraid he'd survived far worse, but his heart ached at how easily respect seemed to disappear in the world. Time passed. Walter remained in his booth, partly because his legs felt weak, and partly because this diner was his only refuge. Here he was just Mr. Branson, the polite old man who tipped generously even when money was tight. Now, even that safe place felt broken. Then the doorbell rang. A group of men entered, and the mood shifted instantly. Leather vests, bold insignias, tattooed arms. Heavy boots striking the floor with confidence. They were Hell's Angels. At their center stood a tall man with a gray, streaked beard and commanding presence. His eyes swept the room until they landed on Walter. Recognition passed instantly between them. The leader was Thomas Branson, Walter's son. The man who had struck Walter was still inside, laughing arrogantly near the counter, unaware of what was unfolding. But Thomas saw the bruise on his father's face immediately. His jaw tightened, the other bikers noticed too. The room held its breath, yet Thomas didn't rush forward. He walked calmly to Walter's booth, sat across from him, and gently placed his calloused hand over his father's shaking one. They sat in silence. Years of distance collapsing into that single moment. Walter looked at the man his son had become, fierce, loyal, hardened by life. Their paths had diverged long ago. But in that booth, none of it mattered. Family did. The thug finally noticed the bikers and sneered. "What, you need your gang to protect you, old man?" he mocked, puffing out his chest. Thomas didn't move. His voice was low, steady and final. "The man you hit is my final. He's an 81-year-old veteran who gave more to this country than you ever will. And you thought it made you tough to strike him." The man's grin vanished. The silence pressed in. The stares. The presence of the bikers. The quiet dignity of the old man he'd assaulted. Without another word, the thug backed away and fled the diner, his shame heavier than any punishment. Walter exhaled slowly and allowed himself a small, tired smile. His son had defended him. Not with fists, but with honor. The waitress brought fresh coffee, her hands still trembling, and thanked Thomas softly. Around the diner, fear lifted. Some customers approached Walter, apologizing for not stepping in sooner. Walter looked at his son and said quietly, "I fought battles long ago, Thomas. But nothing's harder than keeping family close." Thomas nodded, emotion flickering beneath his tough exterior. From that day on, it became more than a breakfast spot. It became a place of healing. Walter and Thomas met there often, sometimes joined by Thomas's biker brothers, who treated the old veteran with deep respect. And every time Walter walked in, people remembered the morning when cruelty was silenced, not by violence, but by loyalty and love. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. And before you go, tell us in the comments, do you believe kindness can heal broken families? Walter Branson lived the rest of his days no longer as a forgotten man in a corner booth, but as a father who found his son again, in the most unexpected place. And to everyone who witnessed it, that diner became a reminder that respect, family, and compassion will always be stronger than hate,